Hey, thank you for watching To Your Left Politics. I'm your host, Superior host of Why I Hate Politics podcast. Also, go ahead and check out that channel. But today, we're going to be talking about why people are constantly using this phrase or using this statement as a cop out, and they know is misrepresenting the facts. The entire, hey, leave the wealthy people alone. They pay more than their fair share. They do not need, they should not be contributing to this country any further. It is the responsible for everybody else. And today we're here to debunk that. All right, so let's go ahead and get this first fact out the way because, once again, just like with any good misinformation or propaganda, it always has a nugget of truth, but then around it is surrounded by a bunch of BS. So it is true 1% of the wealthy do pay 38% of income tax, which is a lot. And no one is disputing that. And I'm not talking about the high professional uh, uh, jobs like lawyers or doctors or things of that nature where they have a high salary. Those people are paying a lot of taxes. So this conversation is not for them. I'm specifically talking to the 1%, the ones that can make profits, make money off of their assets, stocks, businesses, and investments, ways to where they can hide their wealth. And their wealth is outpacing any tax structure that we have today. Those are the people we're here to talk about. So, yes, these people do pay a lot in income tax, but here's three reasons why that misses the point and solutions. All right, so reason number one is much of the wealth's real economic gains sit outside regular income tax system. A big portion of the ultra wealthy's real gains never show up as regular taxable income. Their wealth mostly grows through rising asset values like stocks, which isn't taxed until they sell. Long term capital gains are taxed at a top rate of only 20% plus 3.8%, equaling 23.8%, compared to up to 37% on regular wages. And unrealized gains, assets that haven't been sold, aren't taxed at all. So here's a solution: tax unrealized capital gains for the ultra rich, or end the rule that wipes out capital gains tax when assets are passed to heirs at death. This directly targets assets appreciation that currently goes untaxed. So, as we know, wealthy people have access to loopholes and backdoors than regular folks. And one of the biggest complaints that I see is when they're passing on their assets that are not taxed to, their next of kin, it is untaxed and they don't have to pay tax on that money, which is, once again, if we're all playing by the same rules and not having these special rules set aside for the wealthy and the well connected, this is a major loophole that needs to be destroyed. All right, so reason number two is the tax system has not kept up with the explosion of wealth at the top. The tax system hasn't kept up with how concentrated wealth has become. The top 1% now holds about 31.6% of all U.S. households' wealth, and the very richest have seen their fortunes grow far faster than their share of taxes. For example, a solution for this is a wealth tax on the ultra wealthy. For example, Elizabeth Warren's ultra millionaire tax, which is 2% on wealth over $50 million, higher rates on billionaires. This is designed specifically to address extreme concentration of wealth itself, not just annual income. So, with 1% owning over 30% of America's entire wealth only goes to show you our tax system is far behind. It is outdated. It is not doing their job. And with this problem only getting worse throughout the years, a higher tax only for the 1%, the very ultra wealthy, need to get taxed more and not just their income tax. All right, so reason number 3 is ordinary workers face higher effective taxation on earnings than wealthy do on capital gains. Ordinary workers face higher tax rates on their earnings than ultra wealthy often face on investment gains. Money from a regular job can be taxed up to 37% plus payroll taxes. Long-term capital gains are only taxed up to about 23.8%. Studies of the richest 400 households show their overall effective tax rates have become around 24%, lower than the rates paid by many high-wage earners. So, a simple solution could be equalizing tax rates so long-term capital gains are taxed at the same rates as ordinary wages income for higher earners. This removes the special lower rates that currently favor investments incomes over work income. So, at the end of the day, I'm no tax expert. I do my research in the past 2 years, been really trying to figure out why wealth inequality is the way that it is and how our tax system is currently favoring the ones at the top. And the top do pay more in federal taxes. That is a fact. But that is crumbs compared to the wealth they're accumulating outside that tax code. That is accumulation of wealth at a rate that cannot be stabilized here in America any longer. Wealth inequality will continue to widen as long as our government, as long as our tax structure favor the wealthy. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. Once again, I create new content every single Monday. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. And once again, I will see you guys next Monday.